Foresight, Chapter 3. Izuku stands outside the Todoroki compound and looks at the notification on his phone. Something like regret settles into his stomach, along with frustration and anger, and annoyance at his quirk. The notification is that his contract with the Todoroki family is ending. His quirk is telling him to let it expire. He wants to start he wants to stay working there. He likes working with plants, and he likes the Todoroki family. They are nice, and they seem to like him too. Well, not Endeavor, but Izuku has never actually talked to the guy. Izuku smiles slightly at his phone and sighs. Well, he knows that his quirk is right, and that whatever his quirk is planning, it's big, bigger than he can guess at yet. He slips his phone into his pocket and pulls on his gloves. He sighs a final time and walks into the Todoroki compound. The grounds are quiet, as they always are. Izuku walks until he finds a gardening shed. Inside is Konishi Kazuo, the man with the mustache and two heads. He is organizing some bags of fertilizer. Izuku knocks on the open door of the shed. Konichi looks up at him. "Oh, Akatani," he says, straightening up. "Good timing, as always. It's good to see you. Have you talked about my offer?" Yeah, I did," Izuku says, rubbing his neck. "It's really kind of you, but I don't think I can accept it. I really have enjoyed working here, but I've got other things moving forward, and I don't think I can continue here." Konishi looks disappointed. "Really? This is quite a position," he says. "And you've been a huge help here. I really don't know what it is, but you've really got a touch with the grounds. I don't think it's ever looked so good. We really could use you here. You've been really the best gardener we've ever had." "Ah, that's really kind of you," Izuku says, glancing away. "But it's not really in the cards for me. I really do appreciate everything that you've done for me over the years." "Of course, kid," Konishi says, with a sigh. "I won't try and pressure you. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure you'll be great in whatever you choose. You can grab your things whenever you like." "Thank you," Izuku says, smiling. "I would like to work one more day, though. It would be nice to at least go through the motions one more time." "Of course you can." Konishi shakes Izuku's hand. "I've got to head out, but I'm sure you know what needs to be done. Best of luck, kid." "Thank you," Izuku says. He waves as Konishi leaves. There is still a sort of sad feeling rolling around in his gut, but he pushes it down. He grabs his gloves and whatever gear his quirk tells him to, then heads out. It's all standard, trimming, trimming bushes and weeding the flowers lining the house. He's been there maybe 20 minutes when he sees Shoto walking up to him. He doesn't speak, just sit down next to Izuku. He is in his school uniform. "Yeah," Izuku says. He's trimming rose bushes. There is something I wanted to tell you." Shoto looks up at Izuku. His face is mostly blank, but he does look a bit tired. Izuku looks away from him, staring fixedly at the rose bushes. "My contract here is ending," Izuku starts. "I can extend it," Shoto says instantly. Izuku can see him sit up out of the corner of his eye. "I know. Konishi already offered to do that," Izuku says awkwardly. He sets down the trimmer and sits down on his heels. "But I've got, well, other things are coming up, and this seemed like a good time to." Izuku shrugs. "Oh," Shoto says. He's not looking at Izuku. "I mean, I really did like working here. I've liked hanging out with you and your sister and brother, and I like meeting your mom too. Your dad I don't like so much, but that's not too much of an issue." Izuku sees Shoto's mouth twitching at the corner. I'm glad that I work here anyway. I haven't seen your sister today, but could you tell her I said goodbye? Ah, yeah, I'll do that. Shoto doesn't seem to know what to say. Yeah, Izuku shrugs and looks down at his hands. But who knows, maybe we'll see each other sometime. Yeah, maybe, Shoto echoes. He doesn't sound convinced. Hey, it's not that unlikely, Izuku says, feeling a slight smile on his face. Things like that happen all the time, right? Shoto smiles. If you say so. He lay down on the grass, arms pillowed under his head. Izuku goes back to trimming the roses. After a few minutes, Shoto starts talking, which is unusual for him. Normally, he wasn't the one to start conversations. But he just talks about his hero training school, his classmates and teachers. Shoto's a little awkward, like he's not used to talking so much. But he can be funny sometimes, in a quiet, dry way. Izuku laughs a few times at the way that he describes his class's hero training exercises, and is interested to learn that one of Shoto's teachers is actually All Might himself. During Shoto's stories, Izuku pick up his tools and gestures for Shoto to follow him, and they loiter around a couple trees in the corner of the property. As Endeavor walks past, Izuku waves at him, but the hero doesn't see him. Eventually, there is nothing left to do, and Izuku returns to the shed. Shoto tells Izuku about his recent visits to his mother and the time he's been spending with his siblings. Izuku starts packing up his things. He's accumulated a bit. A few pairs of gardening gloves, an extra water bottle, odds and ends that had been easier to store at the Todoroki compound rather than carry with him. He packs them into his bag and walks to the back gate of the compound. Well, Izuku says, still a little bit sad. It's been a good one, yeah? Yeah. Shoto smiles then. Just a small one. It's been a good one. Before I go, I just wanted to say, and I don't want to overstep, but yeah? Shoto interrupts him. Well, I'm just glad that you have reconnected with your family, I guess, Izuku says. They're good people, and I guess I don't know the whole story, but I'm glad that you've got them. Shoto's smile grow a bit. Yeah, I'm glad too, he says. It was good knowing you. Yeah, it's not so final though, Izuku smiles. I'm sure that I'll see you sometime. Yeah, Shoto says, sometime. Izuku walks out of the gate with one final wave. Izuku's crime phone buzzes again. He checks the notification. Unknown number. The prospective job will happen in 2 days. Meet at 7 a.m. An address follows. Izuku stares down at his phone. So, this is really happening then. He's going to work for real actual villains. And he needs to be somewhere at 7 in the morning. Why? He sighs. His quirk has a number of things which it wants him to do. He replies an affirmative to the text number. He grabs his bag, a large chunk of cash from what's left of his crime money, and his jacket. He heads out the door. He goes out and buys a very heavy hammer, a thick black bag, a pair of walkie-talkies, and a golden mask that covers his whole face. Then, he impulsively picks up a box of red hair dye and bleach. It's time for a change anyway. The morning of the attack, his court wakes him up at 5 in the morning. He groans and pulls his pillow over his head. But his hands stuck him up and out of the bed, and he finally relents and pulls himself up. He packs 2 bags. One of them contains his school uniform and books. The other is the bag he's just booked. The heavy hammer, his crime phone, and the flip phone he had spoke years ago when he created his false identity. He gets ready by pulling his hair, which he has dyed a dark red, into a messy knot at the back of his head. He then pulls on a black cloth mask and puts in red contacts. His hand hovers over the golden mask he had broken, but this cork pushes his hand away. He looks odd, but not particularly notable, not when compared with most people with mutation quirks anyway. At, thir- at 6 in the morning, he brings his school bag and uniform and he hides it in a bush near his school. Then, he starts towards the address which the unknown number had sent him. It's a shady-looking warehouse in the middle of an industrial district. He slips through a side door 2 minutes before 7 and is greeted with what seems to be hundreds of low-level villains. They have mostly mutation cores and tend towards dark clothing. There is some amount of posturing and arguing, and Izuku pulls himself towards the edge of the crowd, where he can lean against a pillar and try to look inconspicuous. Then, he waits 20 minutes, during which the villains grumble amongst themselves. Then an inky blackness appears in the center. The villains who are arguing scatter, and a number of them pulls out weapons. Then the ink settles into the shape of a man wearing a suit. At his side is a slouching man who seems to be covered in hands. So, these are the NPCs, the handman says, glancing around him like he doesn't care much at all about them. The inky man says more, then steps forward himself and the handman says nothing. I am Kurogiri, and this is Shigaraki Tamura, he says. We have acquired your services today to serve as troops for an attack. We will be launching an offensive on the UA students. They are leaving the school to visit a training facility known as the USG, where they will be vulnerable. There is a strange stirring amongst the villains. Some perk up with interest and take steps forward. Your job will be dealing with the students and the teachers of the 1A class. You will not attack one another, and you use any force necessary against the heroes. Is that understood? No one responds, but every eye in the warehouse is on the smoke man. Don't be so glum, said Shigaraki, his face set in a wide, flaky smile. We're going to do something great today. We're going to kill All Might. There is a wave of movement across the room. The attack will commence in 30 minutes. Prepare yourself. Then, the two of them melt back into the void. Izuku shrinks back into the shadows as the villain breaks out into excited whispers. He feels his quirk pulls him towards his crime phone. Izuku opens it and is drawn towards the Twitter app. He follows the movement of his quirk and types in a post. Foresight 2020, 7:34 a.m. At Hawks.hero. There is about to be an attack on the UA 1A class, probably within the next hour or so. Good luck. Izuku paused it. Huh? Wait? So, is this the whole point of getting Hawks at a friend on Twitter? Probably. Within a few minutes, he starts getting messages from random people asking what he meant. None from Hawks yet, though. He puts the phone on silent. He wastes a few more minutes doing nothing. Then, more than 20 minutes later, he gets the impulse to take out his flip phone. He slowly types in a number, weighted carefully to each digit. Then, he dials. A few rings in, someone answers. Hawks here, says a slightly blurry voice. Who is this? Oh, it is? Well, you should probably check your Twitter. It seems kind of important. What? Ooh, why do you even have this number? Izuku hangs up. Just a moment after that, The smoke appears in the center of the room again. We will be deploying in 1 minute, the voice of the smoke say. His voice seemed to emanate from the entire cloud. Izuku surged forward with the rest of the crowd, narrowly avoiding a few elbows to the stomach. Then, the word drops out from underneath Izuku, and he lands on unfamiliar dirt. He looks around. He is in some huge dome building. Izuku guesses that this is the USG. He is in some sort of a plaza, surrounded by huge crowds of villains. In front of them is a long set of stairs, on top of which is standing a group which he doesn't know. They are dressed in bright colors, and all looks rather short. Oh, those are the hero students. Izuku isn't close enough to see them clearly. A figure leaps forward from the group of students, propelling himself down the stairs with some kind of prehensile white clothing, which, just a second ago, had simply appeared to be a scarf. He is wearing all black casual clothes and has a pair of strange yellow goggles. Izuku hears whispers of the name Eraserhead from the villains. Apparently, the hero is known in the world of criminals. Then, the fighting starts. The villains around him surge forward against Eraserhead. Izuku runs the other way. By the time he has reached the edge of some thick vegetation, the hero has already taken out a dozen of the villains. Izuku keeps running. He passes through what seems to be an abandoned town, around a scenic pond, and then into a frozen wasteland. It looks like it's meant to be a street in some small town, but everything has been covered with an uneven layer of ice. He is going to keep running when he sees a movement to his right. He whips his head around and sees a familiar head of white and red hair. Todoroki Shoto. Oh, this must be that hero school that he's going to then. Funny that Shoto has never said that he was going to UA. Or he had and Izuku had just forgotten. Either was possible. He raises his hand towards Izuku, then pauses. His eyes widen and his hand lowers slightly. Izuku waves at him. They are at least 20 meters apart. Oh, hi Shoto, I told you we'd run into each other. Izuku shouts, then remembers that he's being a villain right now. Though I don't need to leave now. Nice to see you. Then he starts running away again. His quirk warns him just for a split second before a giant iceberg burst through the space he'd been moments before. He had enough time to duck into the building, then scramble through it and out a small back door. He sprints through a brief empty space and into another forest. His chest hurts from running, and he thinks that maybe he's a bit out of shape. As he's running through the forest, he hears the sound of cracking from behind him. He glances around and sees the entire house has been covered in ice. Scary quirk. Izuku changes direction and finally reaches the other side of the USG. There is a small door in the wall. It's subtle and painted to blend in. He pulls the hammer from his bag and smashes at the handle until the door finally opens. He rushes out and into a maze of corridors. Izuku guesses that this is the maintenance entrance to get into the USG. He catches sight of an exit sign and runs towards it. He finally gets out of the building and wastes a minute hunched over and with his hands on his knees. He feels sick. He hasn't run that long or fast in a long time. Ouch. Then his corks start insistently pulling at his hands. Yeah, I know, he grunts and pulls out a flip phone from his pocket. Once again, he goes through the process of slowly typing out a phone number digit by digit. It rings one, and then someone picks up. Hello, this is Principal Natsu. Who is this? The voice is strange and high pitched, but the diction is perfect. Well, Izuku flounders for a moment. Then he realizes. Principal of UA? Yeah, who is this? You know your students are like on a field trip or something? Izuku managed. He's still a bit out of breath. Well, there's a bunch of villains attacking them. I thought you should probably know. There is a short silence. Hurry, maybe there are a lot of villains. There's only two teachers and they have separated the students. The heroes have been notified. That was quick. Who are you? Uh, Isuku's clerk doesn't tell him to hang up yet and he flounders. I'm, Foresight, yeah. Why do you have this information? Isuku's clerk finally lets go of the pull, and Isuku instantly snapped the flip phone shut. He does not like phone calls. He pulls the bag out of his pocket, uh, the bag out of the phone, and takes out the battery. He packs the pieces into his bag, then glances around and starts walking away from the building. He's maybe a block away when he hears something and looks behind him. There is a streak of gold that can be no one other than All Might, and just behind him there is a streak of red that he's pretty sure is pro-hero Hawks. Izuku's shoulders loosen. Everything should be okay then. He heads to school. He finds the uniform he has packed away and changes in a public bathroom. He packs the bag of his villain stuff in a bush that his quirks indicates. Finally, he makes his way into the school. He walks in just as the receptionist at the front door is loudly copying some documents and files into his classroom, delicately avoiding the security cameras without conscious thought. He gets back to school only 2 periods late, but just the right comment convinces his teacher that he's been in school all day. He's officially marked as present, and his alibi becomes flawless. Okay, that was pretty stressful, but it was fun. Izuku is trying to do homework when his quirk tugs at his gut. He spends a moment staring at his math, which is due tomorrow first period, then decides that he absolutely does not care about it. He grabs both the papers and his textbook and shoves them into a drawer. His quirk tells him to put on the golden mask he had booked. He pulls a hoodie over his hair. When he looks in the mirror, he can't see any of his face. He grabs the heavy black bag he had grabbed and puts in his crime phone and the walkie-talkies that he had booked before the attack. He pulls on a pair of heavy gloves. Then he climbs out through his apartment window and up the ladder to the roof. It's quiet up there, and Izuku snaps a few pictures with his crime phone. Izuku then jumps across a few rooftops until he reaches a building covered in large scrap of fabric on wooden frames. He sits near the edge of the building for a few minutes, until Izuku sees a dark shape jumping across buildings on the other side of the street. His quirk pushes him upright, and he grabs one of the walkie-talkies from the back. Yo! Izuku shouts across the large gap between the buildings. The figure freezes and turns towards him. Izuku waves. The figure stares at him. I've got something for you, Izuku shouts. Not in a bad way, like literally I am about to throw you something. He pauses and adds, not in a threatening way. Izuku winds up and launches the walkie-talkie as far as he can get it. It doesn't go especially well. The walkie-talkie would have hit the other side of the building and landed on the street if the figure hadn't cocked it with long pale tendril of fabric. Izuku realized that this is the hero that protected the students during the attack. Eraserhead. The hero lifts the walkie-talkies up and stares at it for a few moments, then takes it in his hand and holds it out in front of him. Izuku grabs his own walkie-talkie and presses the button. It makes a loud sound. Then, the figure moves a bit, and the walkie-talkie makes another loud sound back at him. Izuku walks away from the edge of the building to sit near the center of the rooftop. The scraps of fabric move erratically in the wind, blocking the line of sight between himself and the hero. He presses down on the transmit mute button. He settles into a more comfortable position and pulls the mask up until it's out of the way of his face. Yo, Eraserhead, right? Good to see that you're alright. How had things go at the USG? Izuku starts. Who is this? Eraserhead asks. Oh, did no one introduce me? Izuku asked, crossing his legs. I sent Hawks that message about that attack the other day. That was you? Eraserhead responds. Yep, Izuku says with a pop. Who are you? Who are you? Foresight. Well, anyway, I just wanted to catch up with you and make sure that everything went alright. Why do you want to know? Well, I did warn you guys. Thought I should know how things went. Seems fair, right? Eraserhead ignores him. Were you also the other caller? Oh, yeah, I called the principal after I got out of the facility. Why? Izuku thinks about that for a while. I guess it was better to have multiple people aware of it so heroes would mobilize faster. I see. Why did you warn us at all? Listen, Eraser? Can I call you Eraser? No. Okay, listen, Mr. Hat. You keep asking me questions but haven't answered any of mine. Izuku can practically hear the icy stare through the walkie-talkies. Okay, so what happened at the USG? Eraserhead pauses for a few moments. Only a few minutes after the fight had begun, All Might and Hawks broke into the USG. They saved the students, along with myself and Pro Hero 13 from serious harm. When the villains found that their plan had failed so quickly, they retreated using the warp core. Did they say anything? What do you mean? About what they wanted? Because if they didn't, then I've got some information you might appreciate. What are your terms? Izuku pauses. What does he want? He will probably tell the hero everything anyway. Is there anything that they could give him that he would want? Well, Izuku honestly can't think of anything. If he wanted something, he could get it. There isn't really anything that the combined force of the police and the pro heroes could give him. Eh, that's for the both of us to figure out. There is a moment of silence. Then Izuku thinks of something. Oh yeah, by the way, I would prefer if you didn't try to catch me. It will be inconvenient. And anyways, it won't work if you do try. I never get caught. Izuku pauses. His quirk seems sated, twirling contentedly around his knuckles. Yeah, I think that's it. You don't want anything. Eraserhead says flatly. Izuku thinks that might be the only way he says things. Yep, go ahead with your question now. Why did you warn the heroes? Well, I don't want those villains to kill anyone, duh. Who would just sit there and let them attack the students? So you were working for them and had a change of heart? No, of course not. I just had some information and thought that I should share it with you. So you just show up out of nowhere and want to help us? Hey, I didn't just show up out of nowhere. I've done other things. There is a long silence. Izuku senses judgment there. I did a whole hasting. I stole a bunch of stuff from museum one time. You stole things from museum, and that should make us trust you. It wasn't important stuff. It was like early Cork era collectibles. No one got hurt. Izuku decides that he dug himself deep enough a hole and should probably put down the shovel. Anyway, that doesn't matter now. I know you have got questions about why the villains attack you. I've got information. Izuku pauses. You are recording this, right? There is a short pause. Yes. Okay, good. So their leader is Shigaraki Tomura and the smoke guy is Kurogiri. Their goal, or at least the goal that Shigaraki said, is that they want to kill All Might. That's all I know so far. So far? Yeah, I figure I'll learn more over time. You're still in contact with them? Nope, not yet. We'll see how things go though. You're not giving as much information as you think. No, I'm aware. Izuku's quirk pulls him to stand up. I'm going to head out now, I think. How should I contact you? Eraserhead asks. You probably won't, Izuku says. I'll give you a heads up when we need to talk next though. There's only silence on the other hand. Izuku leaves the walkie-talkie on the ground where he had been sitting. He covers his face with the golden mask again. Izuku is suddenly pulled by his quirk to the other side of the building. There is some plant, long dead, in a pot near the edge of the building. His quirk pushes him towards it, and he ends up with two large handfuls of wet soil. It had rained recently, and it's mostly mud. Why is my life like this? He mutters to no one. He push, He's pushed towards the lip of the building, and he winds up crouched under the railing. He sits there for 20 seconds before his quirk sends a warning. Then, Eraserhead launches himself directly over where Izuku is sitting. Izuku stands up behind him and coughs. Eraserhead jerks around towards him, and Izuku sees the start of red shining through his goggles. Izuku throws the soil directly into his face. Eraserhead rears back, tearing away the goggles and falling into a defensive position. His face is completely covered in wet earth. Izuku doesn't even pause for a moment, and is immediately scrambling the other direction. He starts laughing without thinking about it. He probably sounds more than a little hysterical. Who leaves fans in their goggles? Doesn't it defeat the entire purpose? Also, the idea of a real pro hero thinking that Izuku is a threat is hilarious. Izuku jumps the gap between the buildings. On the other side of that, he finds a fire escape going downwards and climbs down. Eventually, he gets to the ground, wounded but unharmed. Then he turns and goes deeper into the alleyway. He slips into a crevice between two dumpers. It smells bad, but he doesn't move. A minute later, Eraserhead jumps down from the same building. He doesn't even use the fire escape. He just uses those bandage things to slow down his fall. He lands in a fluid motion. Eraserhead briefly looks around, then runs into the street still looking for Izuku. Izuku spends a few minutes sitting still and waiting for his breathing to slow down. Then, eventually, stands back up and climbs up the fire escape. Just moments after he's gone, a police car slowly drives past the alleyway entrance. Izuku makes his way back into his apartment, sitting still and hiding just before the police, Eraserhead, or some other heroes would have seen him. Eventually, he gets back to his apartment and slips back through the window. First thing first, he takes a shower to get rid of any smell of dumpster or sweat that might remain. Then, he gets himself a bag of chips because he's hungry. He sits on his bed and pulls out the flip phone from his desk. He opens it, replaces the battery, then once again carefully dials a number digit by digit with the help of his quirk. We haven't found him yet. Eraserhead answers instantly. I'm checking the third quadrant now. Well, I could have told you that. I could have told you that. Izuku says casually, a mouth full of chips. Foresight, Eraserhead says. The one and only. Izuku answers, leaning against the wall. I was being polite before with the whole walkie-talkie things. And yes, even if you change numbers, I can call you. We will find you. Nope. No, you won't. It literally doesn't matter what you do. I already told you this. That's a bold claim. It's really not, Izuku says, getting tired of the whole thing. It's just how it works. It doesn't matter what you do, what you try. In the end, this is true. I don't get cock. Check the information I gave you. It's a better use of your time. Izuku snaps the phone close.